If you believe it, you're gonna make it. Getting stronger by the day, you're invincible. If you believe it, you're gonna make it. Getting stronger by the day, you're invincible.
How does it go?
No,
How does it go?
Not the Madina dance,
you
babe.
just need to, you know.
I'm looking like that person now. Happy Tuesday, South Africa. Welcome to another episode of TrendingSA on SABC3. We are live. My name is Alma Smith. It's a brand new day, and that, of course, comes with brand new trends. Our mission here is to keep you updated and informed with the latest. Next to me, on the far end, Mr. Punchlines, and there with the arms, Mable, how are the dogs?
Guys, ngimuhle ne?
Yeah.
Like, no.
You know what? Just because you've got the gym glow doesn't mean you have to come here and oppress us.
No, I'm talking about my clothes.
Just say hello.
Listen, that's all God. Like, it's the grace.
Oh, God.
Well,
You know, coming from gym, I'm happy. The dogs are sleeping. Like, it's a good time, man.
Okay, fresh new Mable. Refilwe is smart, effortlessly gracious, sometimes a tiny bit shady.
Tiny.
Tiny bit.
But you got to slip it in there very quietly, you know? I've been borrowing some of your current shades, some of that. Yeah. Just got to make it very... Let me speak to your supervisor.
She looks super fancy today. Doesn't she look like she owns the house? Now, this show isn't complete without your voice. Yours is the fourth seat at our table, so be part of today's conversation. Send us your voice notes. Join our WhatsApp community, and our lines are open. So you can just give us a ring anytime. Let's get into it. It's time for Top Trend.
All right, people have a dead wish. Bafuna ukufa. Guys, I'm serious. Bafuna ukufa. So there's this thing that's out there in America. It's called the Shut Up Challenge.
Yes.
Basically, you videotape your dad. It's like the other challenge. You videotape your dad, but you tell your mom to shut up.
Yes.
Ne? And
She's in on the act, yeah?
And guys, ngicela nibuke, ne? Please watch South Africa and tell me if you think that we should be doing this.
Water out the refrigerator.
You did. Who are you talking to? My mama. Your wife. Is you trying to die? Is you trying to die? Who are you talking to? My mama. Say it again.
It's a prank. It's a prank, dude. Calm down.
Y'all better stop playing.
What you gonna do?
Guys, let's see how South Africans reacted to this trend. It was all over Twitter. Right, there is Uselula ZA says that my dad doesn't even know what a prank means. He will beat my right before we can say Papagi prank. And that's true. And there's another one. This one is from Tagatiko. And it says, my parents would beat me even after I said I'm joking. Ngeke, give me 0 for this challenge. Can I tell you something? The only way that this challenge would work in my house, if my dad was still around, it would have worked like this. We'd have to tell them, Baba, there's going to be a joke at 8 p.m. where we're going to tell Ma to shut up. And then at 7:55...
An application to joke, Papa.
And then 7:55, we have to say, Baba, just in case you forgot, that joke that I told you about is about to happen because there would be problems.
Yeah.
No. For me, it's not it.
I know for sure that my mom's reaction would not be quick enough to catch my dad. So because I love being alive, no thank you, and easy.
Oh, guys, just for nostalgia, ne? Do you guys remember the last time you got hiding?
Yes.
What happened?
So it's very much like this prank, right? I was deep into some sitcoms and something had upset me and I was having a power struggle with my mom and I looked at her and I said, I hate you.
And then?
Awesome, I see my state, smart girl. This is in Dawson's Creek. I got a club. I got told to get out the house.
Yeah,
that's what happened.
No, there's not a chance I would have survived this if my parents, their generation believed in violence.
Yes.
They were devoted. That's how much they loved you. My dad is very tall and he would have the ability to give you a clap there while he's driving. He will reach you.
Just in case you forgot it.
He will reach you in the boot. He will reach you all the way to the back and clap you there while he's driving.
Oh my goodness.
Another thing that I want to ask guys, are we going to pretend Uguti, this Experian data breach did not happen? Basically, we're acting as if 8 800,000 businesses and 24 million people's information was not acquired by a fraudster. At the risk are those who hold bank and credit accounts, which is basically everyone.
All of us, yeah.
Or maybe it's a COVID.
I know my bank has been very responsive in telling us what's happening, but it could also just be that, we're sort of waiting on other things.
I heard a rumor that this actually happened a while ago.
As in the data breaches a while ago. But you know what happens, right? They always only tell us after the situation, when they've managed to contain things. And then they say, by the way, guys, this happened a month ago. You might have been affected.
It says that maybe we just don't understand how it affects us and why we should not be worried. The implications of this breach,
Is that tons? Tons. Oh,
79.
Yeah. Okay. Tanda 29, there we go.
Because this is scary.
Yep.
And then Refilwe MK says that you think that these companies handling our personal info learned something from when this happened to Liberty Life and Standard Bank.
Yeah.
One really has to wonder how effective our POPI Act is.
Yeah.
We are in trouble, Stu.
You know what? POPI unfortunately only relates to us as South Africans. Globally, there's just been a proliferation of data breaches because during lockdown, hackers are going, actually, I'm bored in the house. Let me do my best. That's what's happening.
My bank told me afterwards, but in the years, my bank is only concerned when they're spending my money. Bank charges.
Well, something else that we need to keep an eye on is whether or not Mr. John Steenhuisen will take on Mbalintuli's Twitter challenge. This is so deep, I love it. So last week, DA member Mbalintuli took to the socials to challenge the interim DA leader, John Steenhuisen, to a series of debates. And she's given John a week to respond, and the deadline was yesterday. So it's passed, right? We can definitely confirm that Umbali has officially been blue tick.
Let's see what people think about this, though. And it's so interesting because John Steenhuisen doesn't strike me as the kind of person who laughs at himself easily. He said, John Kesey says they are in a competition for DA leadership, and yes, the idea of a debate is to expose weakness, convictions, strength, individual capacity to deal with complex issues without 100%. Hiding under broad party statements so DA voters can know what or who is entrusted with their best interest.
No lies detected, yeah?
Zulian Hubert says he's still traumatized by the, quote, witch South Africans experience.
That was classic, I loved it.
In his position, if he can't engage with a member of his own party, how is he going to be able to engage the country? And that's the thing. Primary debates are a norm in developed democracies. Public debates have a knack of doing the work that we need it to do. Why is it not a thing here?
And, we definitely need to have it because, first of all, we need to know who exactly we're dealing with, who we're voting for. But I think what's important for me was if you took a look at the newspapers this weekend, here's a News 24 article where the headline is Steenhuisen fears debate with Nduli will be a trap. And his supporters are essentially saying they're going to bring out the race issue. And we, people who are watching the opposition party, actually want the DA to come down on one side and say, let's normalize affirmative action. Let's normalize our race policy and just speak coherently about it. This business of constitutional blacks is such an awkward phrase. What even is it?
And I think the thing with the debate is also that someone's going to win it, but there's also this whole perception thing happening on the side, which...
Also, for me, Elma
which John
and
has lost.
the first debate you want to have is not with someone from Rhodes. Never.
Ever so proud of his school.
Guys, who do you think would win?
Umbali, no doubt.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No doubt.
Rhodes. Listen, after the break, about things that will happen, after the break, we've got Dr. Mpume Zenda Mkaya joining us in studio to talk about all things sexual health. As tweets usually say, normalize talking about sexual health.
Normalize.
All that and more.
Normalize.
After the break, normalize.
Normalize. Welcome back. You are still watching Trending SA on SABC3. Let's get into our pinned chat. Now, sexual health sounds like a big, daunting term, and sometimes we think it speaks only about sex, but sexual health is a term that is about more than that. So I bet we've sparked your curiosity, and maybe you're wondering, what exactly is sexual health? Well, Dr. Mpume Zenda has the answers you're looking for. Check this out.
Sexual health is a state of well-being, physically, mentally, and socially regarding one's sexuality. It is important for us to approach this topic with much respect and positivity given the number of myths and taboos that surround it. It is also important to emphasize that one should be able to experience and express their sexuality in a safe space with much pleasure and without coercion or violence.
Thank you so much for joining us, Doctor. Welcome to TrendingSA.
Thank you.
for your
Absolute
time.
pleasure.
Yeah, so we are so excited about this conversation. It's strange because in broader society, I mean, you mentioned taboos. It's not something that people discuss at dinner parties, but millennials are down to talk about sex, pleasure, health, and where all these things intersect. Why are millennials so much more open to these conversations?
Yeah. I think, first of all, they've got just so much more information at their disposal. And they have a knack of asking questions and the whole idea of understanding their rights and insisting on people being accountable so that they can actually exercise their rights.
Yeah, I love that. You know, Doc, our bodies can sometimes feel like they're betraying us, right? Working against us, whether it's pain from period pains, fibroids, endometriosis. We're turning to a lot of places to get some relief. And then you've got celebrities. There's a buzzword that we've come across a lot. And you hear it from celebrities like Regina Hall, for instance. Gwyneth Paltrow is another one. Chrissy Teigen is another one as well. And I'm curious to find out from you, when everyone is talking about yoni care, I'm pretty sure a lot of people feel left out of this conversation, right? Yeah. Yoni care being this huge buzzword. Just explain what it is for us, please.
So yoni in particular is just another, or I'd say a colloquial word for vagina.
Okay.
So vaginal care, which sometimes I think it's a little bit of a divide by 10 because vagina is quite self-cleansing and it's always worrisome when there is no scientific backing for something and yet it is doing the trends basically.
What are they doing though when they talk about yoni?
So when they talk about yoni care, I think it's they steam, they use pearls, they use herbs, but what is concerning is that they generally are putting things up inside their vagina actually.
Okay.
So this is really foreign to me because I was raised by a mother who insisted on us using the word vagina. We were not allowed to use anything else, no yoni, no nothings.
Yeah.
And also, it's like a self-cleaning oven.
Yeah.
You don't mess with it too much. It's got its own ecosystem going. You just let it get on with it.
Yeah. And to that point, right? So I don't think that it's necessarily a new thing. We grew up with grandmothers and aunts saying, you know, you've got period pains, you're hurting. Here's some steam and here's some herbs. Use this and it'll alleviate your pain. As you alluded to, the other practices like using those yoni pearls, those yoni stones as well. But I guess I'm wondering if these practices are becoming popular because the medical sector hasn't responded to our issues adequately, right? But I just want us to take a look at this video. It's from influencer Mihlali Ndamase, and she basically talks about yoni steaming and how it has helped her. Let's take a look at this.
Using these when I was on a contraceptive that used to give me so much thrush, like my pH balance was completely off. My homegirl was so sensitive, like it was just a very bad time for me. Okay, it was a bad time, and that's when I started using the steaming kit, and
I mean, she's talking about her homegirl being so sensitive. What do you feel about the use of things like, first of all, that yoni steaming that we're talking about, the yoni eggs, the yoni pearls? Is this all recommended from your medical perspective?
So absolutely not. But let's probably maybe delve into the nitty-gritties of steaming. It's heat. So heat, what does heat do? It promotes circulation.
How much heat, Doc?
So it's like, for example, for period pains, we will encourage young girls or ladies to use a hot water bottle. So whether it's a hot water bottle, a bath, a shower, heat has that effect of producing or stimulating circulation. So that will help with a little bit with the pain. So it's a comfort thing. But what is concerning is when you start putting things in there, your pH balance of your vagina is quite sensitive. And if it shifts just slightly, you are likely to get thrush. If you get thrush, you are more susceptible to more dangerous viruses. So the problem that I have is that they often give this information without the full story of what happens when there's complications. And let's be fair, they are not accountable. They don't have to pay HPCSA. They don't have to be held accountable by HPCSA.
Very important.
So that is important. And I think viewers listening, they must be like, just watch out.
Yeah.
Discuss with your gynae or your doctor before you start putting things anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Dotela, back to us, ne? Tina, we you know, Dotela. Tina, we treat it like a finger. You know, we just wash it, put it away. You know what I'm saying? So what is sexual health for men? Where does it start?
I would say sexual health for both men and women starts when a child comes of age. So when they start puberty. Teach boys about what it is, you know, when they have wet dreams. What is it? What does it mean? How do they clean up? And also give them the opportunity to talk about these things. And then you move into when somebody starts being sexually active, it is so important, particularly if you're not circumcised. Make sure that that front skin, the foreskin, is cleaned properly and appropriately.
Hygiene.
Over and above, please, guys, I always say you have to be part of the, you know, the family planning or the birth control conversation. Men have to be part of that conversation as well. So that's part of it. And then the whole issue of sexually transmitted diseases, it's important. Let's be safe, but let's have lots of pleasure.
All right, we say that our viewers are actually the fourth voice. Now we've got one of our viewers, Une voice note. Let's listen.
Hi, TrendingSA. My name is Tsepang from Durban. I did circumcision 2 years back, and ever since that time, I've lost touch in bed. Could this be the reason why this is happening?
Sure.
Okay. Mina Dotela, this is what I say. Yeah. I feel that people should have the right to choose. You know, I feel like mutilate ingane without giving them the choice, because, you know, I've heard some people who have said, Uguti, they got circumcised and then they lost feeling down there. Sure. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Sure. So, I mean, to Mable's point, there's a whole support group of men in the US who share those sentiments of the fact that leave us alone until we are old enough to make these choices for ourselves. And it's just, I saw this tweet. Let's take a look at it and bring it back home, right? Manzu Pout says, this guy just said he got circumcised because of peer pressure and he misses his foreskin. I've been caught off guard on the radio before, but this takes the cake. And, you know, then Lerato responds with this saying, we've had this conversation on the timeline before. There are actually many men who regret getting circumcised. Apparently those, they lose more feeling during sex as a result of this circumcision. So many things to consider, Doc.
Yeah. So first and foremost, you are 100% right. You can lose a bit of feeling when you've had circumcision. But let's be honest. Our country, if you're looking specifically at South Africa, we've got so many cultural backgrounds, so many religious backgrounds, and a lot of the circumcision, particularly before the ages of 18, is a decision that is made by the parents. Yes. And very often it's got nothing to do with anything medical. So it's important for us to understand from that point. But from when somebody is 18, they can consent for...
I mean, that I've seen is that there's a pressure from the ladies and from sexual partners who say, Uguti, you need to remove this thing. And I know where it comes from. It comes from the fact that you touch one that's not properly cleaned, and then you go, I never want to see Intenje ever again in my life. So maybe we should even educate the ladies, Uguti. Not all of them, you know, not all of them are dirty. Some guys know how to clean them. As you said, Uguti, you are taught if you're taught as a teenager, Uguti, how to clean this thing, and you should clean it every single day.
Talk to your guy about hygiene.
Yeah. We have so much more that we still need to get into with you, Doctor. So we're going to keep you for a few minutes longer. Circumcision is, of course, an incredibly important conversation, but so is pleasure. We will be back. Keep tweeting #TSA on3. We'll see you after the break.
Whew, nice one. All right.
You are watching TrendingSA. Dr. Mpume Zenda is here with us to talk sexual health. Now, we have been discussing a lot of biological things, but now I want to get into a lot of what happens here in your heart as well and in your body. And sex also needs to be a conversation about pleasure. We often tend to talk about men and their pleasure, but we have a voice note from an anonymous viewer, and she shares something we need to put on the table here.
Yeah.
I'm a 32-year-old woman, and I've never experienced the big O. I've been doing a bit of research, and they say that masturbation would help. I'm a bit shy, I'm a little bit uncomfortable, so do you have any tips on how one can get started? I really don't want to hit 40 without experiencing an orgasm. From Tina.
You know what feels awkward?
Yeah.
Women always talk about it. We're so uncomfortable with masturbation and all of these things, as if it's not a male thing as well. Masturbation as a guy, from the time you wake up and you're like, oh, I can do this. You are told, Uguti, you're going to get hairs on your palm. You're going to go blind. And you're told this thing is done by Shimane. If you know, and people don't get the fact that these are two different sexual acts that belong in two different places. You know what I'm saying? You know, and so you're not alone, guys. You're not alone.
Yeah. Are we pro menage a moi?
I think we definitely need to go up the game with the pleasure part of it.
Okay.
You know, I think it's so important. And, you know, if you're talking about myths and taboos, this is the very reason we're having this conversation, because it's inaccurate information and it is centered around fear. Anytime you have fear, I always say the big O is such a lady. Anytime there's pressure, fear, or stress, it disappears. So it's important for us to be positive.
If you are over 40, and you have not experienced it, next lifetime. Let me tell you why. Have you seen Start it next time.
No,
you'll come back again.
No. Offside completely. Offside. I don't agree with this.
Hey, you're on your own.
Guys, I wanna ask you something. Guys. We all grew up, ne? And then we had a preconceived notion of what sex was. What did you think sex was?
Okay, so growing up, I thought sex was something that Black Americans did. And I'll tell you why. Don't laugh at me. Because they all sang about sex. Salt and Pepper, let's talk about sex. Whether it was Marvin Gaye. Nobody here sang about sex. I just thought, oh, okay, it's their thing.
Elma?
I thought sex was something that happened when the characters closed the door after they were kissing.
I thought it's something that my parents do, because I always just, you know, they would get behind the doors, and that was it.
And we're like,
what are they doing?
We've got a viewer, Utemba Aries there says, I thought sex was one of the things that would always bring us closer in a relationship. To find out it was the opposite.
What's happening there? Oh, wow,
that's heavy.
That is some heavy stuff happening in your relationship. Anyway, tomorrow, Musi Maimane is in studio. Make sure you go to our socials. We'll be doing an exclusive #Ask Musi segment. Oh, it's going to be hot with the man himself. Good night, South Africa.
Mwah.
Thank you so much for your time.
You guys
oh my goodness. You know this